Even though you're not planning to compete at this year's Olympia, there's still going to be a bit of an Olympia prep going on. Talk about that.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with the latest physique update from Blessing Audiu. Now you have got to give the credit to the boogeyman. This is easily the biggest and the most impressive he has ever looked. With 4 to 5 weeks to go, till it is finally stage time for him. Now he has been away from the stage for nearly 18 months. So Blessing, I think, is gonna do a number of shows this time. Majority of the shows, which are scheduled in the month of June and maybe in July. And he's looking to win at the very least one and get back to that Miss Olympia stage. So Blessing played it really smart by skipping this year's Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro as well. He just knew he would not have been ready for either of these shows. And honestly, I have got to say it just wouldn't have mattered, even if he got ready. As the competition, especially for the Pittsburgh Pro, that is just way too hard and way too deep. Now we know Blessing's upper body, that is gonna look superb. I mean, that was the case even a couple of years back. That has always been very impressive. He has always been very round, very 3D, and very full looking muscle bellies. The biggest letdown when it comes to Blessing, that has always been his legs front to back. Now that being said, I'm gonna say a few physique updates that Blessing has posted leading into this prep. His quads have looked considerably improved, and his conditioning is also coming in very nicely. Now the fact is, he was conditioned the last time he was on the stage, and that was in Flex Pro Italy back in 2023. Even his legs, they were separated. But the question right now is that, will he be able to retain that size and the volume on his quads after going through that peak week protocol and all those water cutting tactics? That we all know is the main question regarding Blessing and his fate as an Olympia competitor. That is just totally dependent on his quads coming up. So do let me know what are your expectations from Blessing this time around. Will we see him on the Olympia stage this year? And will his quads be finally improved, especially in terms of size? So this comparison right here of Florian Poison from his classic physique prep versus the prep that he is in right now, and that is for the men's open bodybuilding. And for those of you guys who do not know, he's making his comeback at this upcoming Cali Pro in 3 weeks time. That is such an accurate representation of how an IFB Pro would have already done some great things in the men's open class had he just continued to compete in that same division and had he continued to improve from 2019 onwards. I'm gonna say he wasted some golden years of his pro career by trying to fit in a category where he just did not belong. He was always meant to be big. Now his back was his biggest weakness when he turned pro back in 2019, and no wonder he made very little progress in that aspect, because when he was in classic, all he was doing was sacrificing a lot of muscle just to make that weight cut off. So at the moment he's 3 weeks out of this year's Cali Pro, and the back double biceps, that is still gonna be the most vulnerable pose, especially in the upper half. Because one thing is absolutely guaranteed when it comes to Florian, is that he's gonna be very shredded and very detailed in the bottom half, front to back. His quads are gonna be some of the best in that shoe. Just look at that separation and the detail on his quads right now. They are looking so massive and so separated. And take a look at that quad sweep. And we still have 3 more weeks to go, and that is plenty of time to get rid of that last bit of water and make a statement on his first show. Now that being said, California Pro this year, that just isn't gonna be an easy show to win for any of these guys, because the thing is that show is scheduled just 1 week after the New York Pro. But the big 3, Nick Walker, Derek and Martin, they are probably gonna be done by that time. So Florian's arrival in the men's open is another very exciting storyline of this year's bodybuilding season. Now for the record, Florian turned pro while working with Patrick Tour, and Patrick rated him very high after the way he looked in Portugal Pro back in 2019. So the biggest name in the entire bodybuilding industry right now, Chris Bumstead, 6 times classic physique Olympia champion, is gonna be missed as an athlete on this year's Olympia stage. But the champ will stay connected with the official Olympia team, and they are definitely working on something big and very exciting for this year's Olympia weekend, especially for that classic physique division.
Even though you're not planning to compete at this year's Olympia, there's still going to be a bit of an Olympia prep going on. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, not to fully disclose what we have planned, but we've been discussing about now that I'm not developed into being an athlete competing at the Olympia, there's a lot of things that I want to do to make the athlete experience better at the Olympia and a lot of other experiences that I have a different perspective on. So we've been talking about ways I can still contribute to being a part of the Olympia.
Now, I do not know how many of you guys remember that last year after winning his final Classic Physique title and announcing his retirement, Cbum made it public that he's gonna make sure that the prize money for Classic Physique goes up next year and big time. And the man was willing to put up his own money to promote the division that gave him so much success over the years. So anything that makes this sport grow, that should be 100% appreciated by the fans. Now it's kind of too bad that Cbum is just nowhere in the shape or form to start his transformation just yet. Now his squats are still looking massive, but that upper body, that has just shrunk so much due to him not even touching the smallest possible weights in terms of the upper body for so many months now because of that shoulder injury. So the man is still going through the rehab after his shoulder surgery. Now no one can deny the fact that Cbum played the most important role in making that Classic Physique division grow so much. And for him, still willing to stay connected to the sport, that is such a great sign. Next up we have the physique update of Josema Beast, just 1 week out. Now that is a very low quality footage, but you can get an idea of his conditioning right now, which is something that is expected from him. He arguably is one of the most shredded guys in the entire Classic Physique division, along with Michael the Bull. Now I bet if he just had another 10 pounds to grow his legs, his final package would look way more impressive on the stage. But unfortunately, the man is already maxed out. So can he beat Terrence Cbum, especially if Terrence is on? Well, in my opinion, no. I'm gonna say no chance. There is just a lot more to that quote-unquote classic look when you look at that front double bicep comparison of him and Terrence. And it's very clear why Terrence is just way more classic, but no competitor in that Classic Physique lineup for this year's Pittsburgh Pro. He can come in off, because Josema Beast, he's gonna make you look soft and watery and very smooth on the stage, even if you miss just by a tiny bit. Because this guy is known for coming in very dry and very shredded every single time. Now Josema is an absolute freak of nature. He has one of the most impressive physique, just at the age of 23, and one of the most detailed back in that entire division. And we have to keep in mind, he's a top 6 Olympian from last year. So one cannot even imagine how difficult it is for Jose Manuel to stay in such a striking distance to every single show that he's planning to do. He has been staying very shredded for weeks on end now. So Josema versus Terrence. And Carlos, that is gonna make up for a great showdown for this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. John D Rosa is finally back in the game. So he has started to die down, and with a 12.5 weeks to go till this year's Tampa Pro, the chances are very high that John is gonna show up there and defend his title. So last year he was able to beat a very good version of Muhammad Fauda at this same show. But that Arnold Ohio last year, that was really the highlight of his entire career. Standing next to a former Miss Olympia, Audiu Chupan, and still looking very formidable, especially from the back, that was a big statement. Now personally, I think John is a very great bodybuilder, and except for those two front shots, the front double biceps and the front lat spread, he has some very good and some very powerful shots. So the man is very thick, from the side and from the back. He has crazy amount of detail in those back shots. So him and Patrick Tour, they really unlocked a whole new level of conditioning, especially last year. And despite not being one of the biggest guys on the stage, he won Tampa Pro. So John really is one of the most experienced guys in the men's open bodybuilding right now. I think he's the only guy who has been competing longer than Brendan Carey. So if Tampa Pro is what John is aiming for, that's gonna be one hell of a show. Because there will be some amazing bodybuilders like Justin Shire, Quentin Beastfoot, and John Jewett in that show. So that is gonna be a much better lineup than last year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.